Good evening, everyone. Derek Diesner coming to you from the newly renamed Charlie Dine softball field here on the campus of Arizona Western College. Welcome into this week's edition of the Bullring. During tonight's show, we'll recap the week that was in both Lady Matador softball and Matador baseball, and we'll have for you the entire ceremony from this past weekend's field dedication to the Charlie Dine softball field. Right now, it's time for us to take our first break of the show, but when we come back, we'll break down both the Lady Matador softball team and the Matador baseball team's past week in action. You're tuned in to the Bullring right here on AWC TV.
You can register for summer classes at Arizona Western College right now. Imagine completing the classes you need for your degree, like math and English, in half the time. The AWC summer classes are shorter and faster than the traditional semester. You can take classes in 5 or 10-week sessions. Summer classes are convenient, too. Classes are held online in San Luis, Somerton, and the main campus. Visit azwestern.edu for a list of classes. Register online or in person. Classes begin May 27th.
Welcome back into the Bullring, everyone. Derek Diesner back with you, and now let's break down the week that was in Lady Matador softball. Right now, the Lady Matadors are currently ranked second in the nation, a surprise to this team. Last week when we were with you, we talked with head coach Nikki Bethurum. We thought we'd move up to number 1, but we stayed at number 2 in the poll. We'll see if we budge at all this week. Currently, the Lady Matadors are 39-5 overall and 33-3 in conference play. Taking a look at their results from last week, they started off on the road in the Phoenix area against South Mountain on Tuesday. They won Game 1 by a final of 6-3, and in Game 2, they shut out South Mountain by defeating them 7-0. After taking a few days off, the Lady Matadors returned home here to the Charlie Dine softball field, and following the field dedication, they took on Phoenix College, who is currently ranked first in the Division II poll. Now, these two teams split their games earlier this season at Phoenix, and we saw the same here this past Saturday. In Game 1, it was all Phoenix College. The Lady Matadors jumped on the board early, but ended up falling by a final of 8-3. In Game 2, the Lady Matadors rallied and defeated Phoenix College by a final of 7-2. This week, looking at the Lady Matadors schedule, they will host Paradise Valley for a doubleheader starting at 12 noon here at the Charlie Dine softball field. And then on Saturday, they'll have their regular season home finale against Pima. Again, a doubleheader beginning at 12 noon. And as always, admission is free. Lady Matadors will close out their regular season portion of their schedule the following week when they travel to both Central Arizona and Eastern Arizona. Flipping the script now, let's check in with the Matador baseball team, who currently sits with an overall record of 30-21. They're 15-19 in conference play, and the Matador men's baseball team really had their work cut out for them last week. Traveling on the road to take on Cochise, a long travel, always a tough place to play, but the Matador men knew what was at stake as they're battling for that 4th and final playoff spot. They defeated the Apaches 2-0 in Game 1 and then won Game 2 by a final of 3-2 in a final 10 innings. We'd look to see if those two victories would give this Matador men's team some momentum going into Saturday's contest in Thatcher against Eastern Arizona. The Matadors fell in a close one in Game 1 at Eastern Arizona by a final of 2-1 on Saturday, but then the Bats came alive in Game 2 with an 18-6 run rule victory at Eastern Arizona. The Matadors close out their regular season this week as they'll travel to Pima for a doubleheader on Tuesday and then return home to close out their regular season portion of the schedule against the Scottsdale Fighting Artichokes. A lot on the line this week. Again, the playoff chase for that final spot, it's between Cochise, AWC, and Yavapai. And looking at the standings right now, the Matadors are a game back of Cochise, but they are 2 games ahead of Yavapai. Should make for a great final week of Matador baseball, and we'll bring you all the results next week here on the Bullring. Right now, it's time for us to take a break, but when we come back, it's time to show you the field dedication for Charlie Dine here at the Charlie Dine softball field. We'll be back with that right here on the Bullring.
The career you've always wanted may be just months away. Just a few classes could take you to the next level in your job. Take a look at Arizona Western College's Career in a Year program. Earn your certificate in a variety of programs in 12 to 18 months, sometimes less. Programs include Certified Nursing Assistant, Public Safety, Logistics, Computer Information Systems, Auto Mechanics, Early Childhood Education, and more. Pick a career with strong job growth that ignites your passion. It's time to invest in yourself. azwestern.edu/career.
Charlie Dine meant a lot to Arizona Western College and their athletic programs, and this past Saturday we were able to honor the late coaching great who also served as athletics director while here at Arizona Western College. Let's take a look at the footage from the field dedication ceremony from this past Saturday. Charlie was taken from us too soon, but the impact he made here at AWC lives on to this day. Charlie spent approximately 27 years here at AWC after first arriving in Yuma in the spring of 1970. Charlie served 10 years as the athletic director and 10 years as the head softball coach from 1982 to 1991. He won the national championship twice and was runner-up another time. Charlie was honored as the NJCAA Softball Coach of the Year in 1982 and 1987, which were the 2 years he won a national championship. He currently ranks 9th as the winningest softball coach in NJCAA history with an overall record of 248 wins and 99 losses. Besides softball, Charlie also served 6 years as the head football coach here at AWC and won 29 games to just 24 losses and 2 ties. He also served as an assistant football coach for 3 years. During Charlie's time on the sidelines, he made 3 bowl appearances, including making it to the national championship in 1972. During today's program, we will hear from former players, coaches, current AWC personnel, and members of the Charlie Dine family. I would like to first welcome to the podium our president here at Arizona Western College, Dr. Glenn Maley.
Thank you, and I want to welcome everybody here. I know it's no surprise to you, but we're going to keep it as short as we can because everybody's sitting in this nice warm sun that we have. I always talk to some of the neighbors that are from Michigan in different areas and always tell them at least we don't have to shovel sunshine. So we do appreciate it. I think the reading of the record is a wonderful thing. He had a great record, but it doesn't begin to tell the story of Charlie Dine. I was very honored to have an opportunity to coach with Charlie for a number of years. And of course, many of you in the audience did as well. Jack Watson, Ray Butcher, and many others. Charlie Dine was a coach's coach, as a matter of fact. Most of the time, if you had a concern as a coach, you went to Charlie Dine. He had 3 or 4 suggestions. You tried a couple of them. You went away amazed at the progress. And today, when you hear the young ladies that'll have an opportunity to tell you about some of their stories with Charlie Dine, I can tell you when I also was coaching and Charlie Dine was, of course, going through the football situation before he came into softball. Charlie was the type of person that not only could inspire, but he could get the very best out of an individual. Charlie never criticized somebody. He gave you suggestions for improvement, and it was amazing. The students that perhaps achieved the most are the ones that listened to Charlie Dine. His record speaks for itself. Again, I just want to welcome everybody here. I'm very honored to have this opportunity. When I made a recommendation to the district governing board and they approved it, nothing could be more fitting than to name the field after Charlie Dine. I'm just honored to have an opportunity and to come back and spend some time with some of you, because this is a wonderful occasion, wonderful college, and Charlie Dine really made it. I want to thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Maley. Now I would like to welcome our current head coach of the second-ranked Lady Matadors, Nikki Bethurum.
Unfortunately, I never got to meet Coach Dine, but everything I've heard since I've been here has been outstanding about what he's done for the softball program and athletics in general at the school. So I think it's a great honor for us to be naming the field after him and all that he's done. And coincidentally, in the same year, he was inducted into the NJCAA Hall of Fame. So I think that's pretty awesome, and I hope we can continue his legacy in future years here at AWC.
Thanks, Nikki, and good luck today. At this time, I would like to welcome Nikki's opposition to the podium, Phoenix head coach Heinz Mueller. Heinz coached against Charlie back in the day and was actually Charlie's induction mate into this year's NJCAA Softball Hall of Fame class. Heinz?
You bet. Yeah, it's my pleasure to, it's really a great honor to be asked to speak here. Knowing Charlie like I've known Charlie over the years, I've been around here a long time and was down here for several competitive meetings with Charlie and his teams. But one thing about Charlie is he was a great guy, just a terrific guy. Man, could that guy barbecue. I'm telling you, some of my waistline is still from some of his ribs that he had at his house. When I was athletic director at Phoenix College, we used to come down here for conference meetings, and Charlie was quite the host. He was not only a terrific man, but he was a heck of a coach. Technically, in the softball world, he mastered it. He was a clinician throughout the country, and lots of coaches like myself, I learned from Charlie and the way he hit the ball and taught hitting. And so it's just a real great honor, and it was really an honor at the NJCAA convention this year to be selected with him to go into the Hall of Fame with him at the same time. And he was a great friend, a great family man, and a great leader on the field. And again, it's a great honor for him to have this field named after him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heinz, and good luck today. Just not too much luck. Charlie wasn't the lone man in the dugout during all of those years. I would now like to welcome one of his bench mates, John Nylub, to say a few words on Charlie Dine.
Hey, guys, can you feel the love here? Feel the love, baby. Charlie was a hell of a guy. I talked to Mike Candrea. I said, Mike Candrea, anything you want me to say on your behalf? And now Mike Candrea's won 8 national championships, coached the teams in the Olympics. He goes, Charlie Dine was the finest human being I ever met. He had a heart as big as a whale, you know. I think that's a song somewhere, but he'd take people in. He took me in one time off the streets and helped me out, and he, same thing like Heinz says, I came here 100 pounds ago, and now look at me, I'm healthy, I feel good, you know. He was a coach who never stopped improving, never thought he knew it all. He always looked for help, went to clinics. He became a great softball coach. He was a great football coach. He was a great wrestling coach. There's an old saying, he could take his'ns and beat yours'ns, and then he could take yours'ns and beat his'ns. And I think that's true about Charlie. And he was a very humble man, too. TC, come on up here for a second. TC Canterbury. I'm going to keep this short, but TC and I worked together with Charlie. And Charlie was, like you say, a great cook, and Charlie liked the taste of food, so when games were getting kind of tight and we had to get out of there, TC and I had worked up a little little sign. So we're going to show it to you. And I meant like, hey, let's get going, girls. It's time to eat. All right. Give me the sign. Here. Thank you very much. And again, these girls would tell you what he meant to them too. Thank you so much for being here. This is a great honor.
Thanks, John. Will you please now welcome national champions and former Lady Matador greats Tammy Turner and Kim Leffler. Now Kim Leffler Carroll.
Hello. I'll tell you what, it's been just yesterday I was on this field. And he was a great coach, but he was more than that to all of us. There's a lot of players out here, and we're still very good friends. And that's one thing that Coach Dine taught you, was about family and how important family was. And he made us become family, and that's what a team players are. And that's why we were so successful, because of his guidance. However, his cooking, yes. Our freshman year, we became a little wider rather than taller. Came home, they thought we were grazing. And I'll never forget, it was in the championship game, and I was at the bat. And Coach Dine says to me, "You realize this is the last time you're going to bat as a Matador." And I kind of smiled, and I struck out. But it was an amazing 2 years, happiest 2 years of my life. The fields didn't really look like this, so I'm glad that we could bring those championships here to where you guys were able to do this. Thank you.
So I hope you don't mind. I want to tell you a little story about Charlie Dine and what a great man he is. Not only on the field, but off the field. I played in '87 and had an awesome year. We won championship, go home, and nature as you have it, I get to have a child off season. But he brought me back, and he brought me into his home. His family and him brought me to his home. I don't know if I ever even got a chance to say thank you to him, and this is such an honor to be able to tell him and everybody that knew him and loves him and has those unique memories of him to live on forever. And I got a chance to go on to the U of A and graduate, and it was because of that man's inspiration on the field and off the field. Like Tammy said, we were family and we were a team, and he was the leader of that team. So thank you, Charlie, and thank you for letting me be here today and honor this man.
Thank you, Tammy and Kim. I would now like to welcome Arizona Western College Athletics Director Jerry Smith to the podium.
Thanks, Derek. I certainly also echo the welcome to each of you here today as we honor certainly a historic part of Arizona Western College. I can't tell you what an honor it's been for me as the process has evolved, as we've started. As Ray can tell you, we started talking about this 4 or 5 years ago. And I'd like to recognize Jim Howell. Jim helped me with the process as we forwarded the paperwork to the National Junior College Softball Association that was to get Charlie inducted into the NJCAA Softball Hall of Fame. And then as we proceeded on in talking with Dr. Maley and the naming of the field of the Charlie Dine Field, I think we'd be remiss today if we didn't recognize the important people that made this possible for Charlie. If you would, his family, Charlie's family, if you'd just recognize yourself, either stand up or raise your hand so we can see the member of Charlie's family here. We thank you so much for allowing Charlie to be a part of this institution. I've been here some 10 years now, and I've not heard anything but positive comments about what an influence Charlie was, not only on the softball program, but the entire department and the entire conference and the region. and at the NJCAA national level. Everyone you talk to has something positive to say about the influence that Charlie had. I think the next group I'd like to recognize as a group is all the players that's here that played for Charlie. Let's see a hand or everybody stand together who they were. We want to say how much we appreciate you coming today and being a part of this, and I know how much you respect Charlie and how much it means to you for this field to be named after Charlie. The first thing I'd like to do is have Charlie's family come forward. I have the plaque of the induction of Charlie into the National Junior College Athletic Association Softball Hall of Fame and a ring for the family from the NJCAA. This reads the NJCAA Softball Coaches Association congratulates Charlie Dine, Arizona Western College, into the 2013 Softball Hall of Fame, December the 5th, 2013. Thank you so much. We're going to unveil the sign, and then we're going to have the family say a few words. So it gives me great honor, along with President Maley and the Board of Regents for Arizona Western College, to name the Arizona Western College softball field the Charlie Dine softball field. Who wants to speak?
Go ahead. Wow, what an honor. You know, they didn't mention one of the things Dad coached. He coached swimming too, because he was my coach. He took a 4-year-old and put her on the BYU Dolphins, and by the time I was 8, we were winning. But that changed when we came to Yuma. Which is really strange when you think of how warm it is here. But you know, he turned his focus here at this school, and he was always so proud to come here. You know, I can remember when we moved here, how excited he was to have the chance to come here, and what a change it was to go from the mountains to the desert. But it was wonderful, and you know, all of the people that he brought into our home, you know, I can't count. We never had a holiday that didn't have somebody who couldn't get home, and so they came to our house. And the dinners, yeah, the food, yeah. It's something that I hope that I proudly carry on in my home, to be welcoming and loving, and yeah, that heart of gold. He was an awesome man, and I'm so proud to be his daughter, to have had the chance to really be a daddy's girl and love him and know him and share him with the world. He was a wonderful man, and thank you so much for the honor.
I just want to say a couple of things. To know Charlie was to love him, and he enriched everyone's life that knew him, on the inside and the outside. I have a little thing, CT, you all know CT, now it goes by
Charlie.
Well, but what is his rank? Warrant Officer Charlie Dine. Yes. Anyway, he wrote a little thing and sent it to me. It says, Dad's success was proof of why finding and doing what you love in life is so important. He was so successful because he loved coaching and mentoring these girls. I wish I could be there, but I am content having seen the dynamic impact he had on so many lives. Amen. Thank you for this honor. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out, and congrats to the Charlie Dine family. That will conclude our ceremony today, but we ask that you please stick around, help yourself to more food. The Alumni Association is here to get signed up, and we ask that all of Charlie's former players, the speakers up here, and family members stick around for pictures. But before we conclude our ceremony, we have a resolution for the Charlie Dine family.
Hello, my name is Bob McClendon, and I was a friend of Charlie Dine's. I've heard a lot of people talk about Charlie today and how much they loved him and respected him. Charlie Dine was one of these guys that never wanted any attention to himself, but he showed plenty of attention on the students that he coached, and he was known across the state as being one hell of a coach. People would go to watch Arizona Western teams. A lot of them would, to not only because we had great teams, but because Charlie Dine had one of the best defensive schemes that you've ever seen. He cooked the best shrimp that you could find anywhere down at El Golfo. Those kinds of things are things you never forget. I was in the legislature for 18 years, and while I was there, Senator Jones Osborne, myself, and Herb Gunter got together and came up with a legislative commendation resolution. I'd like to read it today. It'd be very quick. Whereas Charlie Dine has coached Winning's women's fastball, softball teams at Arizona Western College in Yuma for 7 years. And whereas the Arizona Western College women's softball team coached by Charlie Dine won the National Junior College Athletic Association Championship for the first time in 1983. And whereas Charlie Dine took his Arizona Western College women's softball team to Hutchinson, Kansas for the NJCAA Softball World Series again in May of 1987. And whereas the Arizona Western College women's team reached the championship final game, and where it played Illinois Central College, emerging victorious by a score of 1-0 and winning the national championship for the second time in 5 years, thereby bringing great distinction upon our state and upon Arizona Western College and the communities which support it. Now therefore be it resolved that players, coaches, and supporters, and in particular Coach Dine and his family, are hereby awarded this legislative commendation, and be it further resolved that a suitably engrossed copy of this resolution be transmitted to Coach Dine and his family for display as they seem fit. Members, resolution number 111, dated May 1987, signed by Senator Jones Osborne, Representative Bob McClendon, and Representative Herb Gunter. So I'd like to present this to the family.
This year, we celebrate an event that altered the course of 2 counties in the middle of the desert, perched on the edge of the Colorado River and the state of Arizona. Arizona Western College is marking 50 years. We've grown from about 1,000 students that first year to nearly 10,000 today. As we celebrate 5 decades of history, we pay tribute to the leaders who had the vision, to the faculty and staff that came before us, and to you, the ones carrying the torch today. Visit azwestern.edu/50th_events to celebrate with us.
Well, fans, we hope you enjoyed this week's edition of the Bullring, and we hope you'll join us next week when we'll catch up with head Lady Matador softball coach Nikki Bethurum, as well as head baseball coach Drew Keene. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to come on out and support the Lady Matador softball team as they're at home on Tuesday and Saturday, and the baseball team closes out their regular season schedule on Saturday against Scottsdale. Again, admission is free and all games start at 12 noon. I'm Derek Diesner saying so long. You've been tuned in to the Bullring right here on AWC TV.